Hello and welcome to another edition of S'mores by Fireside. As always, you can learn more about our services for small businesses at meetfireside.com. You can click on the S'mores tab and watch all these episodes in video form, or you can download us wherever you like to get your podcast from. Today is a little bit unusual. Back in December of last year, I went to Morocco for 5 or 6 days to tour around the country and to get to know the place and the people. And I was very lucky to go to a town called Fez, where I met a tour guide called Zahi, and I've asked him to join us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about business in Morocco and how he got started. And I think you'll be surprised that a lot of the challenges he will talk about are probably very similar to a lot of those that you face in your own businesses. Zahi, welcome. I'm delighted you agreed to do this. I'm very happy to have you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome also.
So you and I met in December of last year when I was in Morocco. And what I found interesting was I've used Airbnb extensively as a traveler, and we're fortunate enough to have a place that we list on there as a host. You were my first experience of trying the Airbnb Experiences. And so would I be right in saying that your tour business in Fez, you use Airbnb quite a lot for finding your customers?
Yes, of course. So before Airbnb, we work with touristic transport, with travel agency, but when Airbnb began in Morocco, of course, it began very late, not like early, like what's happened in States or in other country, in Germany, in Canada. So I was the first one who began Airbnb in Fez. And even in Morocco, it began firstly in Marrakesh. Because Morocco, Marrakesh is the first touristic city in Morocco. It's very famous in all the world. And I was the first one who began Airbnb experience in Fez, of course.
That's interesting. And so you do, if I remember correctly, two walking tours most days. Is that correct?
Yes, I have two walking tours, and so 4 hours. So generally we begin at 9 or 9:30 to 1 or 1:30, and I have 1 hour's break, prior or to eat something, coffee or anything, and then from 2:30 to 6:30. Of course, it depends. Sometimes, like when you have like old people with you, so the walking rhythm, it's not the same like when you have like young people, and of course it depends in terms of anyone.
Right. Any idea how many miles you walk in a week?
Sorry?
How many miles do you think you walk in a week doing your 2 tours a day?
We can make by kilometers. I don't know about miles.
Kilometers is great.
But it's 12 kilometers by day.
Okay.
So we speak about 60 kilometers a week or more, because sometimes we work Sunday, Saturday. So
right. Excellent. If I'm correct, the town, is it town or city? What is it officially? City of Fez, correct?
City.
City. Yeah. So the city of Fez today, is it fair to say it's nearly entirely an economy based on tourism?
So Fez, the economy of Fez, it's based firstly in artisanal. Like we speak about copper, leather, like traditional clothes, ceramic. Fez, it's the artisanal capital of Morocco. So this is the basic economy. And after that, we have the tourism, of course. We have some other companies and factories, but not inside the old Medina. It's outside the old Medina. But everything inside the Medina is very old. It's handmade.
Right. And the Medina, the market, for anyone who hasn't had a chance to go, I can't recommend it enough. It is one of the more unusual places I think I've ever seen. It's a twisted maze of small streets with a lot of people, a lot of amazing and different smells and sights that a lot of people may never have seen before. The twisted maze, that was a defense strategy, correct?
Yes. So Fez, it's one of the oldest cities in all the world. So we speak about a city with more than 1,200 years and also with more than 9,000 small streets. And before, like, it's not just in Fez, but in all cities in all the world, the first important thing to think in making before building any city, it was protection or defense. So it's for that you find, like in the old Medina of Fez, we have two main streets, like we call it Tal'a, like the going up, okay? And after that, we have like smallest street. And of course, if you don't burn there, if you don't live there, you cannot find a way. Because like it's built to be amazed.
Yes, after I left you and your tour, I definitely had to give some coins to a child that I found in the market to help me find my way back out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Always it's the same.
When you and I met, we were talking about the economics of Fez. You have a very different background before you got into the tourist industry, correct?
Yes, of course. So I have two diplomas. So my first diploma is like a Spanish language and story and language. I have a bachelor in Spanish language and story. And also I have a IT manager, information technology manager, and I work like 6 years in a hospital. So I was responsible for the biomedical technology, like for drug management, cardiology system management, reanimation, and all these things. And then after that, I changed the career to be an official tour guide.
That's great. Now, you say official tour guide. In Morocco, do you have to register if you want to do that as a business?
Yes, of course. If not, you are a false tour guide. So we have like an exam that's happen every 10 or 11 years. So the last one, it was in 2007.
Wow.
Yes. And in this exam, you pass a pre-selection after you have a writing exam and after an interview with some professor. And if you passed all these things, then you can get your license and you can be an official tour guide. Of course, we have two types of tour guides. We have like a natural spaces and mountains tour guide, and we have like a cities tour guide.
And so you said the last one was 2007. That's because they didn't need any more, so they didn't do another exam?
Yes, of course. So like the government make exams following the number of tourists that we have in Morocco. So always when they say that we have like more tourists, that means that we need more tour guides. And then they open.
What a fascinating and very sensible way to do it.
Sorry?
So when you got your license, you said initially you went to go work with some of the tour guides and transportation companies.
Yeah.
So before Airbnb, that was what you had to do. Was it easy because you were official, or did you have to go out and find your own contracts and people who would refer you?
So it's not easy, like because be a good tour guide is not easy. And like when some companies do travel agency, they have tourists, of course, everything, they want like to make everything good. So they need a good tour guide to do that. So if they don't know you, they cannot get you a work. So always the work, it's like, someone and this one recommend someone to you and you get more job every day.
Right. So So a common thing that we see around the world, for instance, is a concierge working at a hotel may very well refer their guests to tour guides, to taxi drivers, to trips and so on. And the concierge then usually gets a tip or something from the person they refer to. When you were getting your business from building those relationships, was that part of your business that when people referred you these tourists, you would then go share that revenue with them?
No. For a tour guide, no. Because, like with the system of hotels, always we have reviews. So, like for the managers of the hotels, always they are following the reviews. Like we have booking.com and different websites. So if you have a good reviews, you can have always clients. But if you work with this method, with like, receptionists or any other things, maybe they can give work for the tour guide to give him more money.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that if he's a good tour guide or not. So always we work. It's for that I didn't work a lot with hotels, like with my part. So I work more with touristic transport and travel agency. And when Airbnb began, of course, I use just Airbnb.
Oh, interesting. So now it's just Airbnb. So you said earlier you were the first person, the first tour guide to do the walking tour with Airbnb Experiences.
Yeah.
How quickly did that grow for you as a source of customers? Was it instantly and then you were busy?
So it's not instantly, of course. I remember my first client, he was Max from New York. So I make the tours with him alone. So, we are just us in the tours. And the next day, it was two Japanese girls. And after I began to work, but that just 1 month, I remember my first 10 person in a tours. So it was just 1 month after that. And of course, when you get like a lot of 5 stars reviews, always you have more client. And even when other tour guides begin to use Airbnbs, I still have my clients because I arrive at 200, 300 reviews. Now I'm in 717 reviews.
I saw that this morning. That's amazing. You had another 30 or 40 since I met you just a few months ago. Do you use any other platform, or do tour guides in Morocco use any other platform for this other than Airbnb?
No,
Okay.
just Airbnb. I don't have times, So for me, Airbnb, it's a good business. I work with a good salary, with a good price, and I try to make the maximum. Try to make like a good tours, like you say. And for others, if you like to mix it other platforms, you cannot work. So I have in the high season I have work every days. So every day is 2 tours. So in the low season, I like to work. I have just one tours, but I like to relax in the afternoon.
That's great. So when you and I met, we talked a little bit about the rent in Fez, and we talked about what some careers, the occupations that would be very high earning in America and in most of Europe, doctors' salaries, for instance. And it sounded to me, from what I learned from you, that those traditional occupations, Fez is almost too expensive for them. And something like switching from your IT background to tourism really put you in a much better position than some of those traditional occupations.
Yes, of course. Like Fez, it's not like an industrial city. So we don't have a lot of companies. We don't have it's not like Casablanca, for example. So like when I work like IT, I have $700 for a month. But when I work now in tourism with Airbnb, sometimes I can have if I make two tours by day, so I can have $400 or $350 by a day.
Right. So $700 a month as IT, and then $350, $400 on a good day doing tourism.
A good day.
Wow.
Like we in the high season, in December, in April, March, November, sometimes in November. So you can arrive at $4,000, $5,000 for a month. So here, like in Morocco, we speak about 50,000 dirhams. So it's like a minister salary.
Right. Oh, now that's interesting though. So your ministers, your officials, they're paid very well then in Morocco.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. That's an interesting comparison. I know more about actually the British system on that, and it's modest. It's good money, but it's modest. It certainly wouldn't be 10 times or 5 times some of the occupations that we talked about, such as doctors. Remind me the doctors' salaries in Morocco there.
So the doctor salaries is depend if you are a normal doctors, internal doctors, or specialists. So like internal doctors, we speak about $300. Like specialists, we speak about $800. And of course, it's depend of area. So you find the differences like 700, 800, 850, sometimes 900. But of course, when you have more experience, like when you work more years, you are growing in the salary. But it's not like in the private sector. People who are working like a private or like have a private office here in Morocco.
Yeah, interesting. Obviously, whilst we're talking, we're still in the COVID-19 corona pandemic. And of course, that is affecting businesses all around the world, and especially travel and tourism. What has been Morocco's approach to dealing with corona?
In Morocco, we make three types. Like we have the national office. Like I try to make the translation CNSS. It's like the national office. They helping people who have inscription in the national office with $200 for a month. And for people who doesn't have inscription, they give him $80 for a month.
18.
80.
80. Okay. Can somebody survive okay on 80 in comparison to some of the numbers you talked about? It doesn't sound a lot.
Yes, and so like if you speak about food, the food here in Morocco is very cheap. Our first economy is the agriculture, So he can survive, of course. It's not a lot, but he can survive.
Okay, well that's good to see. And that was a quick policy at the beginning, or did it take the CNSS a long time to get organized with that?
No, it was very quick. It was very, very quick because the CNSS, they have our bank account, they have everything about us, so they send it directly without any problems. So there is, you should make some, enter some light data in the web page, but directly you have the money in your account.
That's amazing. I think lots of people in many other countries wish it had been that easy and that simple for them. Do you, working in something like the tourist industry, which clearly will have been affected in one of the most ways, do they have any different programs to support you, or is it a blanket policy and it doesn't matter what industry you work in?
Honestly, I know with the government, they don't have a clear idea about how to support the tour guides, how to support all the people working in tourism. They don't have a clear idea about it. Okay, we have because we have a association for tour guide, National Association for Tour Guides in Morocco. So they're trying to communicate with the ministry, to find some solution. Because not all the tour guides, they work in every day. It's not the tour guides, they have the same financial levels.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And what did Morocco do to tackle Corona? You had a very early lockdown, correct?
Yes. They block down everything. No one has the right to work at 6 p.m. And like I told you, we have a license. You work just for drugs or food, and you don't have the right to travel, of course, outside the city, so just in your city. And they make the sensibilization in television, in all the social media, in everything, in every place. They make sensibilization. Of course, you find police and military everywhere.
So the pandemic started, you came to March, Morocco closed all the airports for incoming flights?
Yeah, not just flight, but also for ship and boats. So they block the borders between us and Spain because we have just 14 kilometers. So And we have a lot of people traveling from Spain by boat, by ship, and of course the flight.
Right. And so the lockdown happened, and now though, so 6 p.m. you're not allowed to walk around outside of your home, and you're not allowed to leave your own street unless you're an essential worker.
Yes. So you can live just in some condition, okay? And this condition that you have in the license, and it's written in the paper. And of course, if you work in hospitals, you have all the right to leave.
Sure, that makes sense. And so what are your thoughts now about your business then? Do you have any belief about when you think tourists will be allowed back to Morocco?
Honestly, we are depends of other countries. Like now, it's not so clear. Some countries they told that they open in this month. Some other countries they told like they open in August. Some other countries they told like they open in September. So it's depends. So we don't have a clear idea. But no,
Right.
just.
I think there's going to be for a long time yet restrictions on people traveling from both England and the United States because we haven't taken the same measures that other countries have. I was very encouraged to see that Italy this week announced that they have largely clinically removed corona. So I could see countries like Morocco allowing in Italian residents, but how do you can have a nationality of something, but you can travel in through Italy. So it's still a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the government tried to open the flight, but very careful. It's not like in one times. I think they do that. It's step by step.
Yeah.
But they trying firstly like to be sure that we don't have like other coronavirus or other men who can try it from outside. Because the first cases that we have in coronavirus in Morocco, there are Moroccan who lives in Italy and they come here. This is the first cases that we have in Morocco.
Right. It's fascinating how it spread, isn't it? The speed because of the way the world is connected today. So one kind of last question for you, back to the business side of things. Clearly, you make yourself stand out on Airbnb because of your reviews now and the length you've been there. When you think about other tour guides now using that as a method, what else do you do in order to make sure you give the right experience to get those reviews, or in order to make sure you stay competitive so that when tourists come back, you can help them?
So now I'm thinking in two things. So firstly, I'm making my own website for a tour guide also, and I'm trying to make programs not just in fairs but around the Morocco, tours and trips, 1 day, 2 days to 15 days around all the touristic places in Morocco. And second thing, now I'm trying to find something else than the tour guides, like marketing or working with Amazon FBA or merged by Amazon. So I'm trying to see in this side, because like this is like all the people buy, and there's something it's not affected by the coronavirus.
So that's interesting. So one thing I learned when we went around the market is you said there were quite a few individuals in Morocco now who are exporting goods directly through eBay, through Amazon, through other platforms.
We have a lot of things. So the first famous things that you can find if you check in eBay or Amazon, it's the argan oils and generally argan cosmetic product. This is the famous one. And also some leather stuff and some copper stuff. So a lot of people do work in, like, we have two parts. We have some people they like to work from here to Morocco to export to Amazon and eBay. And we have other people who work in drop shipping. So from China to States, Amazon, or other countries in like where you can find Amazon, like Italy, French, or UK or Japan now.
That's amazing to think of the oldest city in the world, where now this opportunity is presented to you where you can be doing one of the most modern types of business, which is drop shipping and Amazon selling. That's fascinating.
Look, like a lot of they don't know about drop shipping. They don't know about Amazon. They know Amazon, but they know Amazon like a big platform who's selling things you can buy and they ship it to you very fastly is a good one. But a lot of people, they don't know about making business with these platforms, making business with Amazon, with eBay, or now we speak about Facebook or Instagram also. So like the young people, of course, we use a lot of technology and we search a lot, so you can find these things. But for the old generation, they don't know these things. So the majority of people working in drop shipping or marketing are young people in Morocco.
That's really interesting. And so your thought now is, whilst tourism is affected, that potentially presents an opportunity for you to earn revenue again by taking some of those Moroccan products and selling them to Amazon and eBay.
Yeah, of course. And don't forget one thing, because I have another experience like an IT. So like another tour guides, they don't have the same experience that I have. They are just tour guides. So they don't have this thinking to find another option to live.
Right.
And like with this experience of IT, I can search, I can find like another option, because now, like if you don't have nothing, if you don't have any skills, you can enter in some website and you can find some small jobs. You can earn some $10, $15, $20 by day. And of course, when we speak about $20 by day here in Morocco, it's 200 dirhams. Like that means it's 6,000 dirhams here at a month. So
right. I mean, if you're talking about people being able to survive on the CNSS payment of 80, then that's fantastic. That's good money.
Yes, of course.
Very interesting. To think about a country like Morocco, to have such a long history, and to think about how it's evolved and how it's continuing to evolve to modern day is really quite I think an interesting insight, and it's a very special place to go to. And I was very happy to see it. Before we wrap up, I learned so much about Morocco from my trip there and the people. And I found a country that was kind and compassionate and historical and interesting, and a country with an amazing education system, industrial system, and what struck me as being a very good government. What are the biggest misconceptions do you think that tourists have about Morocco, and what is it usually that you have to tell them or explain to them that is so different from what they thought?
So first thing, our strategic position, we are so close to Europe. So you can come in Morocco from any European countries. And now with Ryanair, it's very cheap. You can book a flight with $10, sometimes $5 from Madrid, from Barcelona, from Paris here to Paris. So it's crazy. So sometimes you can come here in Morocco, you spend 4 days, 5 days. Life, it's very cheap also. And you can spend like $100, $120, like a lot of people they did. And when you come here in Morocco, we have a very, very old story. We have like a lot of places to see. So when you come here, you can find everything. If you like natural places, you find it. If you like hiking, you can go. If you like climbing mountains, you can go. If you like beach, you find like 3,500 kilometers of beach that we have in Morocco, in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. And in Morocco, you find a lot of traditional things, a lot of culture. So it's not like other countries. Of course, there is a lot of countries like Morocco, but it's not like when you go in a city and you find just one thing, all buildings. No, here in Morocco, you can find everything. And the second thing is the weather in Morocco. So in Morocco, you find some places it's snowing, another desert, it's 42, 40 degrees. You like tropical thing. You go to Agadir, it's 32, 33. So it's depends of it. You like old cities, you can go to Marrakesh, to Rabat, you can come here to Fez. So it's depends. There is a lot of things to see in Morocco. And of course, the life and the hotels are so cheap.
Right. One of my favorite things that happened to me in Morocco after I did the tour with you, instead of going back to Casablanca, remind me the name of the city northeast of Fez that is blue, the Blue Pearl.
It's Chefchaouen or Chaouen.
Chefchaouen.
So some people call it Chefchaouen or Chefchaouen.
So I went there for a few days, and on New Year's Day, I needed to go back to Casablanca to fly back to London that time. And on the drive back over the Atlas Mountains, I'd hired a driver. The drive back from Chefchaouen over the Atlas Mountains to Casablanca, we broke down. And this poor driver, I felt so sorry for him. He was driving a brand new vehicle, but it overheated. And so it wasn't his fault. It wasn't a bad vehicle at all. And that morning, because I knew it was a 5-hour drive, I'd bought some of those little round loaves, the bread loaves, straight from the oven from the baker in Chefchaouen. So they were still warm, and I had them wrapped up in my bag. And where we broke down right outside a olive press, where they were pressing the olives to make olive oil. And we had about 2 hours there whilst we were broken down. And my driver's name, he introduced himself as Mohammed. And it was such a wonderful experience for me because we actually got to sit amongst the olive trees in the Atlas Mountains. And I got to break bread with Mohammed whilst putting fresh olive oil straight out of the press onto the bread. It was one of the most wonderful, naturally occurring experiences I think I've ever had. It was great.
And this is another thing also in Morocco, that generosity of the people. Like in Morocco, you can go anywhere. If you don't have money, if you have anything, the people, they comes and they help you without asking. Just seeing that you need help, they comes and they help. And this is like it's like an education firstly, and also it's from our religion, because we don't know. Life is so short, and maybe sometimes you will need help. So in these times, God sends you someone to help you, like you did with another person. So this is the philosophy that it's work.
And it's lovely. It's one of the kindest, safest feeling countries I've ever been to. You introduced me to a gentleman in the market who gives away tea every day to the tourists, and I think you said he'd been doing that more than 10 years.
Yes, and still doing that.
I can't think of another place I've been to where you would have an individual who has spent more than a decade every day for a period of time sitting on the sidewalk, sitting on some steps in a city that is more than 1,400 years old, giving out tea in little cups to anybody who wants some, entirely free and with no expectation of anything other than his own happiness and satisfaction. It was remarkable.
Yeah, and you cannot find in maybe in some other countries, but like for me, it's the first time that I see that also here. So
interesting.
And
okay.
the most important thing, he's doing that, and he's always smiling. So like I told him always, you don't give tea to people, but you offer happiness.
I agree. I have remembered him for the last 6 months. He was such a interesting and kind fellow. He had a big impact on the people in your tour group that day. I think a lot of people were quite surprised that was happening. And of course, a lot of us come from countries where our natural first reaction is suspicion, right? Yeah. I think until you've spent a few days in Morocco, you're like, well, what does he want? Surely he wants something, or surely there's a pickpocket, or there's somebody who's after something. And after a few days, if you pay attention, you realize, no, he's just doing this because he likes to, and he feels like he should, and because he can.
Yeah, this is normally, when you live in some materialist countries, that everything you want, you should pay for it. Everything who do anything, he wants something behind. That will be a culture shock for you, of course. But here in Morocco, because we are Moroccan, because we know our religion, we know our tradition, we know our generosity. For us, it's very normal.
Yeah,
it's very common. And like I told you before, if you don't have money, you are hungry, you can go to any shops, to any coffee, to any restaurant, to anyone. Please, I want that. I want sandwich. I want to eat, and he give you directly without asking. And of course, this is in Europe or in another countries. Like it's like you told what he wants.
Yeah, I wish we could adopt some of those ways of thinking. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for agreeing to.
You're welcome anytime.
Hop on and talk to me. For our listeners, again, you can go to meetfireside.com, click on the S'mores tab, watch all these in video form, or you can download us wherever you like to get your podcasts. Thank you for tuning in.